This film has been hyped for so long, we were getting sick and tired of it. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson would constantly tell us that the hierarchy of power, the DC universe was about to change. We were waiting with anxious breath, and then we sit down to see his latest film, Black Adam, the newest entry in the DC universe. And it was mid.
It was mid.
It was mid. Hey, welcome to the special edition of the Fake Nerd podcast. We are talking about Black Adam. I'm Ben Magnet, joined by my bros, Ryan Eliopoulos and Sparkz Witty.
November 2nd, 2007, The Rock is announced as Black Adam. 15 years ago. Active development didn't actually start until 10 years ago. But it was half of our lifetime ago. This man was going to change the hierarchy. Even before the universe was even founded, he was going to change that hierarchy. And boy, did he probably not do that.
I'm sorry, did you say 2007?
Yeah, I had to look it up to double check. Because people are running with the 10-year thing, which is true, but like it was announced before that.
I don't remember him be. Well, okay, let's be real. I wasn't really into the comic book world back in 2007, but
15 years ago, yeah.
No, I was. God, what was I doing? 2007. I was in high school.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Well, we're here to talk about a movie Ben thinks is mid.
Yeah, he came out swinging.
Mm-hmm. I came up, and also full disclosure, I hate using that term too.
Oh, that's how much
Ben did not enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
Clearly,
I had a good time.
Yeah,
it's not changing the world. It is not changing any hierarchy of power. But you know what? There are worse ways to spend 2 hours of your life, for sure. The Rock brings it 100% of the time in every movie he's in, no matter what. He's bringing it in a different way in this movie. He's not as bombastic as The Rock usually is in his escapades as like a big movie star. And I appreciate that. He kind of let the other people be the more emotional foundations of the movie, for better or worse, which we will talk about. But the most positive thing I like about this movie is I think the action is really good. I think the action rules. I think The Rock did bring the brutality that he has been talking about, because I was kind of doubting it even in the trailers. But there is like this movie could have been rated R, and I would like because there are some brutal ass murders in this movie. My main takeaway of problems are all story, a lot of character stuff. But as far as it being an action movie, I had a really good time.
Yeah, I likened it a lot. After we saw it too, Ryan, I said it was kind of fell in the same niche to me as the Joss Whedon Justice League film.
Mm-hmm.
When it initially came out in theaters, where I'm like, it's a popcorn fun superhero movie, and I'm okay with having those every once in a while. I'm okay with having the this is just a comic book movie.
Yeah, if this were released like 10 years ago when it was first announced, the script doesn't feel like it changed very much. This is a pretty shallow movie. But that being said, like, I would rather them just make a fun movie than try to reach for something that they couldn't achieve. Well, that's not true. That's not true. Because, like, I feel this movie, if they went any further, they would have failed significantly. Because the stuff they're already doing doesn't work for me. So I'm glad that they were like, okay, we cannot go this far. Let's just back it up. And let's punch each other a lot. Because we can't really do much else with what we got going on.
Yeah. I think fundamentally it's trapped in this place of, like, them... The whole like Warner Brothers PR and the mentality of around Black Adam as a whole is trying to convince us that he's always been an anti-hero. like I've seen not like I've seen like profiles on things, like official profiles, get changed to label Black Adam an anti-hero.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, stop it. Like this guy might be in that category currently, but he's always a villain.
It's so fascinating that we're getting Black Panther Wakanda Forever next month, because there's a character, Namor, who is very similar to Black Adam. He's a ruler of a fictional country. He's tyrannical. He's often not working with the heroes, despite sometimes being on their side. But we can see in those trailers that like that is Namor. He's not sacrificing any of his characterization because the big actor's playing him. As much as I don't really care for. I love comic books. Black Adam's a character I read when he shows up. He's not a character I actively go for.
Right.
But for me, he's always been a badass, a hard ass. The Rock playing him fundamentally changes what I think the character is.
Yes.
And he's just not as hardcore as as he should be. And not every character needs to be hardcore for the DC universe, right? Not every character is a Superman. But Black Adam is a bad person. He murders fools. And the biggest aspect of this movie for me that I didn't like was how they kept trying to say, "Oh, I'm not a hero. I don't like heroes don't kill." The entire DC universe is full of people who kill people. Every one of our heroes kills people. All of them. Aquaman, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, they all kill people. So it's hard for me to have any
Not
like
Flash yet.
No, but I don't count him as a hero right now. His movie hasn't come out.
That's fair.
But like all of these heroes are this is a more brutal DC universe, and like you're trying to sell me something that I don't believe. Also, I think the JSA kind of stinks a little bit. The more I thought about it, the more I feel stinky about them because it feels so shallow.
So go ahead, Ben.
No, the JSA was one of the parts of this movie that I was looking forward to the most.
Dude, Hawkman, are you kidding me? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know I came out swinging saying that I think this movie is mid, and I don't necessarily despise this movie. I don't necessarily think this movie is great. There are things that you guys just talked about that I do like about the movie. I do think the action is really good. I do think the brutality of Black Adam as a character is there, especially because there's some really interesting kills and some really good slow-mo shots. Maybe a few too many slow-mo shots.
Too many. No, you're not Zack Snyder. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. There were a few times this movie was like, oh, look, here we go again with another Zack Snyder slow-mo shot for the 50th time.
Yeah.
But that's another thing. But this just feeling watching this movie it just felt like this was like, eh. I mean, I don't know if Marvel spoiled me, but I do realize that this is it's a comic book movie. It's supposed to be fun, and there were parts of it that I did enjoy. There were parts of it that I did find fun. There was also parts of dialogue that made me cringe hardcore.
Oh yeah. I'm not like us like quote unquote. We're not like defending it because like I won't fight you on any of the things you'll say because like I don't think this movie is particularly great. I don't, but I just think I do think it has merit. I think the action is the standout. It's just unfortunately like when some of the characters start talking, I'm like, oh, I wish there was more here. I really do because it feels really generic and like, especially some of the relationships between some of our characters. I'm like, this feels so hollow. Like it's like you guys didn't even try.
I want to respond to what Ben said.
Yeah.
Like Marvel has spoiled him. I don't even think it's Marvel. I think it's DC lately.
DC's been killing it
because like we're coming off of the Suicide Squad and Birds of Prey and Peacemaker, all hits as far as I'm concerned. And you get here and like I wanted to believe. The thing is like I really love The Rock. I think The Rock is really cool as a person. I think The Rock is a really cool performer. I like him a lot. He's very much locked into his ideas of what a performance from him is supposed to be and what a character played by him is supposed to be. And that spills over into this film and to this character in a way where it's not just the things we've talked about, like anti-heroing up Black Adam. It's also like pivoting the idea because The Rock's The Rock, and he understands that to a degree, that the universe now will start to turn around him. And that Black Adam's just not the character that happens for.
Yeah, he's not. You don't build the universe around him.
Like, I think you can have a really cool arc.
Yeah.
Around Black Adam of maybe a handful of films, especially if you're going to involve Shazam and Superman encountering him.
100%.
And then that's kind of it. Like, Black Adam's not supposed to also step up and side along the Justice League. I mean, like, we're gonna, if we get into that point, like, extrapolating far down the road, this is not about the film, but, like, it is about the sense of what they were crafting and what they want to craft going forward that I think infects this movie. Of, like, picturing a Justice League film, if there were to be one down the road, and Black Adam has to be in it, and they're not going to let Black Adam be a sideliner. Like, so, he's gonna be just as important as Batman and Superman, even though that doesn't really make a lot of sense. It's just gonna happen because it's The Rock.
You bring up infection, and I don't want to infect this podcast too much, but Jeffrey Johns, the Jeff Johns of the DC universe, is the reason that this is happening because he is the guy who turned Black Adam into more of an anti-hero, less of a villain. It was during his run on JSA and then his run on the 52 weekly book that like he became almost this character. still much more villainous. This character is like, I'm glad I don't care much more about Black Adam, because this is kind of like, this is his whole thing. Real quick, like his whole thing of like, I'm not a hero. He's a hero. The first thing he does in a movie is save a girl from being killed. Like he's a hero. The Rock just can't get away from. He can't be a bad guy no matter what.
Right. I was gonna say it's not so much I think that Jeff Johns built the idea for this, as Jeff Johns gave the excuse for The Rock to be able to do this with the character, and for them to be able to do this with the character centered around The Rock. Mm-hmm. And I think I just wanted to get all that, because I think contextually, like, I can't picture this movie without The Rock as Black Adam. I try to picture someone else in the role. And the film wouldn't work.
It'd be different.
It only works in this manner to the extent that it does because it's The Rock. It's so specifically crafted to work for him.
Yeah.
And like anyone else stepping into this role, you have to fundamentally change the character.
Yeah.
Like no one else gets to just get by with giving The Rock's performance in this role.
I think it starts, like when we first see Black Adam and he's awakened, I think those first 15, 20 minutes are really strong.
Yeah.
Like when he first comes out of the crypt and he's like, your magic is weak, like in the Kondak language, that shit's awesome. And then I'm not a fan of like the Zack Snyder Man of Steel BVS, but I love the way that he captures super speed and the way that these superpowered people can move really fast. It's almost like Dragon Ball Z-esque, right? Like I love the way he films that, and it's carried over into this film where Shazam, where Black Adam is going from dude to dude, super speed, wiping them out, murdering them, blowing them up, and I'm like, this looks really good. It feels like it's like a monster movie.
Yeah,
and then it doesn't do that anymore.
I will say one of the slow-mo scenes that I did really enjoy was like the very first slow-mo scene, not the one inside the crypt, but the one outside where essentially the entire Intergang army is outside of his door.
Yeah.
And he just wrecks them.
Is that when they're is that when they're acoustically playing Painted Black, and then if you didn't catch it, they actually just play it for you because you couldn't catch it fast enough?
Yeah. So I was gonna bring up, like, that's one of the slow motion moments that worked for me, because we've never really been given someone with Superman level power
being a dick like that,
using speed like that. Like the closest you get is the Justice League, but that's still through Flash's perspective of Superman.
Well, I think the Man of Steel fights. Man of Steel has like a lot of that cool slow mo stuff, that fast moving speed stuff.
Yeah, where they're moving. I'm saying like slowing it down and seeing how fast he moves.
Oh, sorry.
Seeing it through slow mo.
Gotcha.
Relation, which is something we see through the Flash. We never get to see in slow motion how fast someone like Superman does move, just like the speedsters do. It's like how much they can do in that time.
It's like you've only watched the first episode of Edge Runners, Cyberpunk, where people's moving slow mo and you see, and then it catches up to them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about like getting to see them moving in that slow motion, the way that you usually get to see speedsters. And I thought that was fun, especially because it's Black Adam like really screwing over a bunch of people.
Like putting grenades in their mouths and stuff like that. That was fun.
But I agree about the overabundance of the slow motion, the way it's used. And I really want to use this as the Painted Black point to talk about that all of the needle drops are not good. They don't work.
Yeah.
I mean, like, they make sense
thematically, like extent. Painted Black, like, yeah.
Or like Power. Mm-hmm. I get why you're playing Power, but like, it's such a snippet, and it feels just like,
and it didn't last very long.
It's always just feels like an afterthought rather than like it's actually trying to accentuate something about the character. Like one good needle drop. Frankly, I think Power was a great choice. One good needle drop of power that really is allowed to sit with the character and identify Black Adam would have been really good. But it's all just like it's almost as scattershot as the original Suicide Squad.
I was gonna say it's more Suicide Squad, less the Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
because James Gunn is always very thoughtful with his music choices.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm very positive on the action. The story itself, it's fine. I did look it up because again I'm not familiar with Black Adam enough. Like Eternium is a thing from the comics. This movie felt really Black Panther to me. In a way that, like, we have this mineral, other people want it, we gotta fight for it, it's ours. I think it's interesting that they introduced nth metal, only just have it as a throwaway line, because, like, that's the more interesting metal that's introduced in this movie. Yeah. One that forms and does everything, and like, oh, can you explain how any of this works? We're not gonna talk about it? Okay, fine, that's cool, whatever. We'll talk about Eternium for the rest of the movie instead.
like here's Eternium, but then you also have this really cool metal, and I'm just sitting there going, but Nth metal is like the more popular metal in the entire DC universe.
I just thought the element, having the element of Eternium be like a central plot thing of like they need it. It's one of the reasons. I get it's one of the reasons that like the country becomes enslaved by Intergang and stuff because they need to mine something. But also you can just have like slaves. You don't need a fake mineral. Like bad people are bad people. You don't need a fake comic book mineral to impose your will on it. I thought the Intergang stuff was cool. Like their bikes are cool, but boy howdy are they just a bunch of evil white dudes. I'm just like, yeah, if your big villain is just like an evil organization for Black Adam, it was hard for me to care, to be honest.
It's also really, it's never clear who's even running Intergang. We never meet the person.
It's not Ishmael. He's just working with them.
He seems to just be working with them of his own goal.
Yeah.
But like Intergang's never really elaborated on.
You can't give them a main guy because you need Sabak to be the main guy, and you can't have two main guys. That would already ruin the bad villain you already have.
Question.
Yeah.
I don't know if I just missed this when I was watching the movie, but I felt like Intergang like completely disappeared. Like halfway through the movie, like once Ishmael was trying to get his stuff.
No, he was working with Intergang and still doing stuff with them.
They do. Ishmael does disappear for a large chunk of the movie and just comes back. Yeah. That is a thing that does happen. He just shows up again, like, oh right, you're still the bad guy.
Oh no, I'm not just about that, but like when Ishmael becomes like the super big guy, and then Black Adam, like when Black Adam constitutes himself as the protector of Kahndaq, I'm just sitting there going, where the hell is Intergang? Because I know like a huge chunk of their forces got wiped out in the desert, but at the same time, it's like that wasn't the entire army, was it?
Maybe they've had enough. They don't want to get their ass beat again.
Maybe I don't know. It's just I felt like there was like Intergang was set as this huge plot point, and then I felt like halfway through the movie it was just swept under the rug. It was like, hey, just forget about that now.
Yeah. I'll say that the context of what they say about Intergang in the film makes it sound like it's just like an invading like formation of another nation, some group that's formed internationally to invade to get resources.
Yeah, they're a merc group. Yeah.
And that they were working with Ishmael, like they took on Ishmael because they were after the crown. But when Ishmael gets the crown, he uses it for himself.
Yeah.
And once they've hit that point, like regardless of if it's Sabak or Black Adam, Intergang's just like doesn't have the technology to fight them. So they just
we have to get rid of Intergang so we can have stupid ass zombies that the humans fight. That's why we can't have Intergang. We have to have the dumb zombies. We can't have we can't have two groups of random henchmen. Come on, y'all.
You zombies. The Draugr from God of War.
Yeah, you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us.
Oh man.
So let's talk about the JSA because I'm not the biggest JSA fan, but like I like all these characters. I think they're all really cool. I'll always enjoy a Hawkman, right?
Dr. Fate is my favorite. He was one of my favorite characters, and I just love Pierce Brosnan in this movie.
Yeah, he's cool, man. Shallow as hell. Not a lot going on. Like, wow. Like, okay. I know, you guys know, he's not Doctor Strange. We all know this. We're comic book fans. Right. If you are not a comic book fan and you go into this movie, what's the first thing he does? Looks to the future. What's one of the things he does? He makes copies of himself. That looks like Doctor Strange to me. He doesn't differentiate himself enough besides the big onk stuff for me to be like, what makes you completely different than Doctor Strange? And for me, it was not enough because like half the things he does, I've seen in other movies.
Also, doesn't the helmet of Nobu come from Earth and it's not from another planet? Because they mentioned that in the movie.
I'm not Dr. Fate.
I feel like that continuity has been
continuity. Like, we need Brandon for this one, but yeah, he's definitely that shit's changed a bunch depending on what run and stuff. But like him being possessed, that's all cool. But again, like we don't learn anything about Nobu. We don't really learn anything about I already forget his name. Kent. Carter Hall's Hawkman. We don't like Kent. Honestly, I think the character we get the most from is Atom Smasher. And he's like the worst, quote unquote, the worst superhero of them. But like, I feel like I'm learning the most about this character because he's failing as a superhero, wanting to be a superhero. Yeah. All the other characters, like I like Cyclone, but she's just like, I'm just a cool girl with powers. Like, what is your character? Like
they mention that part of her stuff is all related to nanobots, but they never really elaborate on it.
That makes it even more confusing.
Yeah, and
even she makes a joke like, "Don't worry about it" or whatever. I'm like, I can't worry about it. I literally can because I'll be confused. Like all of these characters, like we in this poster we're looking at, like we have the mom and the kid. Like they're practically the main characters of this movie. And I like them. I actually like them. The kid kind of sucks, but the mom I really like.
I think the kid sucks. I think the kid sucks specifically because I don't think the actor's very good, rather than just like the kid character is written poorly.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Mom is the best. Mom best. Kid not so good.
There's one moment specifically where he's like yelling, but he's like soft yelling that like, "Hey, I'm yelling! Everyone, look at me!" And I'm like, "This is in the movie? This is crazy."
That was the part.
Yeah,
that was the part.
I think it's where he's putting the hands of like, "Everybody, we need a blah blah blah." And I'm like, this doesn't look like you're really talking to me right now.
Oh no, I hate that part so much. That was the cringiest thing in the entire film. Just the way it was delivered, the way it was shot, everything about that scene when he does like the triangle hand thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that he's like trying to rally the people of Kondak to like step up from themselves and protect themselves.
That's great. I like the
everything
idea.
about like the idea behind it. Cool. The execution was just like,
the idea of like. I really like the idea of like, you know, like the white people are bad, like foreign invaders are bad. The JSA, I wish they would have delved so much more into this because it's really like politically like interesting. You have the JSA, which are basically like the United Nations of the Justice League, coming in to stop Black Adam from saving his own country, right? Super juicy. The people of Kondak don't want the JSA's help. Black Adam's a murderer, but he's only murdering bad people. I don't see how that makes him a villain. He only murders bad people this entire movie. He's not a bad guy. No matter how many times you say I'm not a hero, you've only killed bad people. It's just like the whole fundamental point of the movie is like I'm not a hero. But from square one, you're a hero. And it's just like, it's because it's The Rock. It's because it's The Rock, and it's hard for me to get over that.
Technically, he did kill a lot more than just bad people in the past.
Okay.
Right? Like with the big thing with the kid. I just wanted to say.
No,
like,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
in the modern day, we are only seeing him kill bad people. But he is in his rage.
Yeah.
Unintentionally, because that's a subplot of the film that's not explored very well. That he's
the second champion. Actually,
that he is the second. Not that part, but the fact that he can't control his power.
Yeah.
Because like when they get to the point at the end where they're getting rid of Sabak, Carter says you have to control it because it's implied when he goes into like his full rage mode he can't control it, but it's so barely consistently acknowledged.
Yeah.
But that seems to be the implication they're going for with this script.
That's fair, but even so, like the rage thing happens once and it's an accident that kills everyone.
Kills a couple of Waller's people.
Well, they're technically...
We don't know if they're bad.
No, but like if you work for Waller,
out there.
Yeah, but if you work for Waller, like your morals are askew.
Your morals are askew, but are you bad?
The second
Hardcore straight
Waller...
up kills a dude. She's bad. She's bad, but we support women's wrongs.
So, also, just real quick, because we brought up Hardcore, this also, like, throws me into... I just don't know when this movie takes place in the timeline, which I don't really care. But I have to assume this is pre the Suicide Squad, because Hardcore still seems to be on Waller's good side, not bad side.
Yes.
So, pre-Suicide Squad, pre-Peacemaker.
Oh, I just took... Oh, I had... Okay, so I had a question. I posted on Twitter. Why... Because we've seen Amanda Waller in a couple movies now, right? Why is Amanda Waller using... a Justice League equivalent to go take down Black Adam when her whole entire thing in the first Suicide Squad was we're going to use criminals who we don't need to take out the superpowered people that we can't fight, right? So I was a little confused, and then one of my friends posted this, which I actually could agree with. I could see it being tied to the fact that she lost Rick Flag and her last few attempts to use villains for good backfired in some way. The last Suicide Squad movie and Peacemaker are solid evidence to back this up. Waller is a control freak, and villains are simply uncontrollable, where she can control heroes. And I think that's a pretty cool point. We have not seen any of that on screen.
That would be a really cool idea in a world where the Peacemaker season didn't exist and showed that Waller's still doing shady shit.
Yeah.
And that Waller's not on good terms with Hardcore.
Well, the thing is, like, after what happens in Peacemaker and they save the world, they could have made up. I know it's hard to get over.
It's been a little bit, but didn't the season finale imply that there was still issues between them because Waller's upset with what her daughter did? Because her daughter outed the journal thing.
Yes, I honestly don't remember.
Yeah, I think they're like part of the implication was that Waller's not happy.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah.
It's that's not bad.
Yeah.
In a world where Peacemaker stuff doesn't muddy that water, that's not bad.
Yeah.
I think that the thing that becomes a question to me is like, why is this who you send and not Superman when you could have called Superman the whole time?
Because that's
and
who
this
she
is
calls.
one of those things. This is one of those times where like I go, okay, like I don't want to go to every event, you know, like a Marvel movie and be like, how come Captain America's not showing up in XYZ, whatever. This is one of those times where like, okay, but like Superman can get anywhere pretty lickety split. So like if we're acknowledging that he's here, why are we calling him?
Waller calls a bunch of people who need to take a jet to get somewhere. Where like Superman literally flies in the second they end that conversation, he flies in. I'm like obviously a movie has to be made, but like
why wouldn't you call in the Shazam family to unShazam him?
The Rock doesn't want to hang out with Zachary Levi.
Clearly.
There was one thing I was gonna say about Waller, and maybe she's finally learned. It's like maybe I don't send normal human beings with very limited powers to go take down this Superman level.
Yeah.
Maybe I send in other people with very big powers. I mean, we gotta do with magic. Carter Hall is pretty strong. We got a dude who can grow. Okay, we got some powers now. Legit powers now.
I just want
and it's like, oh look, they still get their ass kicked.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think Cyclone's any different than like a chunk of the Suicide Squad folks you would send.
Yeah, but she doesn't seem like a villain though.
No, but I mean like I'm saying like power wise. Like human with like
she's
a mild
she controls
power
wind.
set.
Yeah, she's not a storm.
Yeah.
Her power cool.
She is the only power set where I was cool with it being in slow mo because like you can't see her unless it's slow mo.
I really liked it when they slowed it down because it looks really good.
Yeah. All of like even though like I was bagging on Dr. Fate a little bit, like I think he looks cool and everything he does looks cool.
And Pierce Brosnan's fun.
It's just like he's a quippy British guy with a goatee. Like wow, like you're just nothing. I found nothing original about him at all.
It just wasn't interested in telling us about those characters.
Yeah.
But the weird thing is that it's also not very interested in telling us a lot about Teth Adam. It does, but it's not really telling us about Teth Adam. It's telling us about what everybody thinks of Teth Adam.
Mm-hmm.
And to be fair to the story, I do like the. I don't know if it's like a what's it called, like a misdirect or anything, but like his son actually being Black Adam first.
Super good reveal.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
and I did catch it. I know you did too earlier. Like you hear The Rock's voice as his dad at the beginning, and I'm like, oh, are they just doing anything where The Rock is playing his own dad? Like that's fun, that's cute or whatever. But then it turns out no, like I thought his son was a champion.
So they like, you know, they didn't trick me, but like I was misled because of the marketing, because we knew about like in the marketing they shouldn't have. They shouldn't have shown this.
Yeah.
But in the marketing, they have the bit where he says, "My son was killed."
Yeah.
And when I was a slave and all that, and again, like really playing that hero idea of him. Yeah. So when we go into the movie and that happened, I was like, oh, so this is his son, probably.
Yeah.
But then the movie kept going, and I was like, I guess they abandoned that idea or something.
Yeah, I was also confused.
And then we finally circled back when like it got to the part where Ishmael. I also was mixed about this being the way they revealed it when he says, they say you wept when Haku died.
When his son's name.
Yeah.
Who's that?
And he says that, and I was like, I feel like we already should have heard of him before you said that line. But sure,
especially
this is the way, I guess this is fine if this is the way you backdoor it, and then Carter Hall goes to him and he's like, who was that?
You know what this reminds me of? You guys have you watched Futurama?
I have, yeah.
Okay, do you know Philip J. Fry's like his grandson or whatever has a statue on the moon and like the name is covered? So Fry's like, oh, he blah 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 blah, he hates him, and then it turns out like, oh, he actually did a good thing. It reminds me of that, like the fake statue thing.
It was because that's the episode where he thinks that his brother stole his name, but it turns out it's his nephew.
It's his nephew's
name.
Right.
And it was like it's very the sweet one of those that parts where it's a comedy.
And it's super sweet.
Yeah, well, also it's one of those times where Futurama makes you cry.
Yeah,
right,
absolutely, yeah.
And it's just like how the fake statue, not fake, but the statue is of his son, not of him, and other characters don't know that.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is like that's practically the beginning of the third act of the movie, and that's when we get the interiority of Teth Adam, and I feel like if you're going to do that, that information maybe should have come sooner.
Yeah.
I like the reveal. I like the twist of it. I think more what it is I really like the idea of it. I really like the reveal of it. But the problem is that after that, The Rock's basically just, as Black Adam, is doing his, and then I lost my control of my rage, and I blew up Kahndaq, and I didn't mean to do that.
And he surrenders.
And I feel bad because I was never supposed to be the champion. So I'm giving up. I'm done. And I'm like... There's something that you could have done here about how, because Teth Adam was not chosen, he is corrupted by the power. Even if he has this desire to want to protect Kahndaq, and he has this desire to want to make his son proud, even to an extent, he is corrupted by the power, and he doesn't want to let it go. He doesn't want to, but he's not that complex. They don't make him that way, and that's like what would be interesting about Black Adam, is that like he is a person who does on some level want to do good, especially for Kahndaq.
Yes,
but he does have power, and he loves having power. That's just not there. That's just not who they're letting him perform to be.
Namor, Doctor Doom, and Black Adam. Those are all three pretty similar, different but similar, leaders. Where them being leaders makes them like tyrannical, and like having that power does something to you that just Black Adam doesn't have in this movie.
Yeah, not only that, we see him waste all the wizards. Like, he says, like, I am remorseful for my powers, but then he's like, the second he gets brought back into the Rock of Eternity, he's like, die.
I needed so much more of that. And, like, the reason he gives up his powers is because he accidentally sparks Amon, the little kid. And we know the little kid's not going to die. We know they're not going to kill this kid. I would have really liked if Black Adam actually caused some serious damage. That's why he feels remorseful, because he actually hurt Kahndaq trying to protect Kahndaq. That's what needed to happen for him to make the change. Because if he wants, again, this is like the Doctor Doom thing, like he wants to protect his people, but he doesn't view his people as people. He views them as a thing to own. So once he needs to see the people as people, and that means killing those people, unfortunately. Once he does that, then he's like, oh shit, like I've been doing this the entire way wrong. I need to be a leader, not a governor. And there's none of that in this movie whatsoever.
Right.
It's so shallow. And this movie could have been so much bigger.
Yeah, as interested as the film wants to be in, like, stating very directly and very bluntly its politics concept of Kahndaq takes care of Kahndaq, and you guys have never cared before, why should superheroes
That's
care
all great,
now?
yeah.
It's all good stuff, but then it doesn't go any further than that. It's all this idea, and it's restating that fact and restating the fact that the Black Adam is not a hero. He's also not a villain, but he's not a hero, and we'll say that over and over again. And like, we're not going to explore the concepts of these any further. It's just stopping at those points and reiterating upon them over and over and over again throughout the film.
It is. They say it more times than they need to. Of like, you need to stop this. You need to be a good guy, but I'm not a good guy. They say it a lot in this movie, and I'm like, I thought that was just for the trailers.
There's like 4 confrontations with the JSA of challenging that concept.
We need to talk about Hawkman real quick, because Aldous Hodge, great dude, great actor, looks hot as shit as Hawkman. Listen, there is nothing to that dude is dumb as doornails in this movie. That dude just likes to. I'm so confused too, because first of all, one, he starts off as like a rich, pompous, like Professor X looking dude. Then he turns into a megalomaniac, just like I want to fight all the time. Those are 2 completely different characters. They do not seem like the same character to me. He starts off like suave and like, yes, we got a mission. And then he's just like, Black Adam! And I'm like, that's not the same person in my eyes. I don't see it. The Hawkman character is non-existent in this movie in my eyes.
Is there a version of Hawkman where he's like super rich?
Maybe. That's not the point. Even if there is, like, I don't feel those 2 characters in this movie are the same person. They feel like 2 separate characters to me.
Yeah, like because there were times. The only time I felt like Hawkman was Hawkman really is when he's like battle crazy. He's like, yeah, let's fight, let's go. Because I haven't read a whole lot of Hawkman, but the iterations of Hawkman I have read, he has been more like punch first, ask questions later.
Yeah, he's savage.
Yeah,
and like this is gonna sound weird. Like, I don't think he was savage enough. Hawkman's a dude who murders people. He's one of my favorite. Okay, this is from Jeff Lemire's Justice League of America run. And he comes into the Watchtower or whatever, and he sits down next to somebody, and he's covered in blood. And the person next to him is like, oh my god. And Hawkman's like, don't worry, it's not my blood. None of that. There was none of that in this movie.
Right.
None of that.
Hawkman does look really cool in this movie.
Looks awesome.
Aldous Hodge is looking great.
His axe mace combo is sick as shit.
I want to see more of him.
Yeah.
But what I will say is I think a big flaw of the JSA in general, like they as a group are pretty underdeveloped, but they have no leader. I have no sense of who the leader is. It Dr. Fate? Is it Carter? It's not clear.
It's definitely. It's like they're almost like co-captains. But there's only 4 of them.
Right.
So like 2 of them get sent out and the other 2 hang out on the ship for half the movie. And I'm like,
and then they jump in.
And then they just jump in.
But like neither of them seems to have like the charged voice, because like you could argue that it's Carter and then Dr. Fate is like advising him.
Yeah.
But if Carter only ever ignores Dr. Fate's advice, then I don't know what the point is of having him in an advising role.
Yeah.
And you get to scenes where, like, Pierce Brosnan's literally just sitting in a chair watching them do stuff rather than, like, intervene or move things in the direction. He just is going to let them play out in their own way. And I'm like, I guess, like, it's cool to have an action scene, but it's really not helping your character or Carter's.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of the JSA, and I mean, we're comic book fans, so we know what the JSA essentially is. But at the same time, part of me wanted more stuff developing in the JSA, like how the JSA got formed, what they were exactly. But then at the same time, this movie is already super stuffed. It's weird because I think more exposition on the JSA about how they were wartime heroes and maybe a little bit more introduction into who exactly Hawkman is. Are they going with the reincarnation Egyptian god route? Well, they're definitely not doing the alien route.
Yeah.
But all this stuff, it's like, I know what the JSA is, but at the same time, the JSA is a lot of the Casey casuals probably aren't going to know who the JSA is. And even though I keep hoping and praying that people go see a comic film, then they go to their local comic store to pick up some books.
Yeah.
We know that's not going to happen. And a lot of times I'm looking at the JSA, I'm just like, they could have had so much more.
This movie also...
But they did not.
This movie also adds a wrinkle because we get introduced to Henry Winkler as the original Atom Smasher. So that means there was a 60s and 70s version of the JSA that we just didn't know about for the last 10 years of the DC, which is fine. Marvel does that shit all the time.
We could have also had the original JSA, the wartime heroes, the heroes that came out during World War II. We could have had those guys.
I would have been...
not Carter Hall. Kent says that he was alive during World War I. He fought in the trenches.
That's weird.
At least I think that's what happened, because he's over 100 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yes, let's bring in some like JSA World War II action here, but we don't get that.
This isn't the movie for that.
No, I would have honestly.
All right.
Because again, it is a Black Adam movie. First and foremost, even though he's not really the main character, I would have been happy with, like, I think Stargirl even does this, like an old school poster of like, hey, here's like a bunch of people, none of them have to be even real actors.
Just knowing that the lore exists.
Just knowing the lore exists, because it does, it has to. You have Henry Winkler as the original Atom Smasher, which again, I love Henry. Him showing up, cute, not a big deal.
I would have been really happy with seeing the original JSA table, but we didn't get that.
Yeah.
That's look. The thing is, because like.
This isn't the original JSA.
The people who made this movie didn't really give a shit about the JSA.
Yeah.
They wanted to use these characters to go up against Black Adam to have somewhere to start.
Because they can't use Superman.
They can't use Superman. They can't use the big hitters because that would be for a sequel.
Yeah.
Because who's Black Adam going to fight? He's not going to fight Darkseid. Not until they put him on the Justice League, if even that.
Yeah.
He's a bad guy. He's supposed to fight the Justice League. So, like...
it's interesting.
So they don't really give a shit about the Justice Society, and it shows. And that it does, like, I think it's funny that it does retcon, like, as they are acknowledging the continuity of, like, this is still set in the same world as Superman, as Suicide Squad, as all the stuff that has come before. All of these things are true. Shazam.
The wizard showing up. Like, I didn't expect it.
Here.
I didn't. That's really great.
Well, and having the part where Ted Adam, as Ben mentioned, turns on the wizards is really great, because that's what the wizard talks to Billy about in Shazam, as he shows the image of the Rock as Black Adam and says, like, our last champion turned on us.
Yep.
And I thought that was really good. I'm glad that they kept that continuity tied in. That was really cool. Mm-hmm. As I'm saying that, Man of Steel and the stuff after implies a world where
no heroes,
super-powered heroes didn't show up before Superman.
Yep.
And yet that is no longer true. Like, a whole part of the big deal about Superman showing up, I don't really care about BVS, so I'll never acknowledge it as continuity anyway, but is the debate around what to do with him, because nobody like him has ever existed before.
Except for Black Adam.
Except for the JSA. Except for... Henry Winkler,
all the Amazons and the
yeah, exactly. Like,
not only that, the Suicide Squad was made specifically to take down a Superman level threat.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And it's like, sure, let's send in Harley Quinn with a baseball bat. Why not?
Yeah, that was always a
Black
mistake.
Adam.
Yeah. So honestly, you know what the JSA reminded me of? It reminded me of Justice League Unlimited. How they had a rotating cast of characters, and they just called in whoever they could afford or whoever they can get at the time. So like. It's cool that Cyclone's here, but it definitely feels like an episode of JLU, where it's like, okay, we can't get Batman, we can't get Superman. Who do we got left? We got, like, Stars and Stripes and, like, the Vigilante. Who else we got? Like, let's go with the hat. Like, Cyclone's cool. Atom Smasher's cool. Again, like, they're all just kind of there. Again, Atom Smasher, he sucks, but that's why I like him, because like he wants to be a hero so bad, but he keeps tripping and fumbling, and like he can't step right, and it's like he's a goofy guy.
He runs the wrong way.
Yeah,
when he jumps out of the plane.
I think this movie. Oh, we haven't talked about it. I think this movie's pretty funny. I think it gets
good jokes.
It gets funnier over time with the rock sarcasm stuff. I really do like the tell the man in black the man in black sent you repetition joke. I think that one's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think there are good jokes, and it rides this line because like there's this line of like making Black Adam an appealing character who you can follow, and then making Black Adam the Rock.
Yeah.
And I think we cross that line when we get to like a moment. It's a perfect moment because it stands out in my brain. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I do remember him saying this, which is where someone says like, "You're not a hero," and Black Adam's like, "You're right. He is," and he passes it over to Hawkman to like do the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, that's when Hawkman like runs him through with the that's the Sabak. And I'm like, okay, but that doesn't seem like something Black Adam-y. That seems like The Rock. Like Black Adam
wants the victory.
Wouldn't be happy about like passing anything over to the heroes and all that kind of thing. That's just again like how far we've gotten away. I wish that there was a version of this interested in exploring Teth Adam being obsessed with maintaining his power and containing his power.
That's why I'm so excited for Black Panther, y'all. Oh my god. Namor! Oh! Potentially Dr. Doom in the future! Oh! Real badass dictators! Oh! God. Fake dictators. Fake dictators are cool because they're comic books, they're not real.
I think for all the elements that it's putting into it, Sabak included, the crown, referencing the wizards, the history of Black Adam, the JSA. I think the bones of how this story comes together, the idea of inner gang and the connection to getting the crown and that leading to Sabak. So Black Adam having to do something heroic. All these bones are very good. Yeah. But the meat inside is not. Yeah. It's just not. And fully cooked.
As much as I think Sabak is like a lame ass villain, I do think the final like confrontation between all the heroes is cool. Like I like that fight, and even though Sabak like looks like a PS3 cutscene villain, I like that they just committed to him being a demon with an upside down pentagram on his chest. I just love the commitment. Like, no, we're just gonna make him look like he does in the comics. Like, we're not gonna make him just like a human man. Like, he's a demon man. So at least I like the commitment to the bit, even if it was a shallow bit.
They didn't develop Dr. Fate or Carter Hall enough for me to care if either of them were going to die.
But they said old friend like 47 times.
No, I know, but like by the time you get to the third act, whoever's going to sacrifice themselves, which I was like, you're not going to kill Carter. You're not going to kill the Black Hawk Man.
I knew they weren't going to kill Hawkman.
You're not going to kill the Black Hawk Man, so it's probably Dr. Fate.
Yeah, I knew that.
And I was like, okay. It just didn't mean anything to me. It was meaningless to me.
I hate, like...
I did like him... Oh, okay. It was one of my favorite action shots in the film is when he's fighting Sabak in the multiple forms, and we keep turning out of reflections of his helmet.
Yes, that is awesome.
That was wicked.
That was
a wicked good use of Dr. Fate.
100%. I'll agree with that.
And I like him speaking to Teth Adam.
Yeah.
While he's doing that, I thought that was very good.
I really, we got so little of like, again, because like this ancient entity takes over Dr. Fate, right, and he becomes him, and I just like his voice changes a little bit. I didn't feel like there was an otherworld entity taking place over Dr. Fate. You know what I mean? It felt like, oh, they gave him a voice synthesizer. I didn't feel they were two different people. He sounds just like Pierce Brosnan talking still. You know what I mean? But again, that's minor problem.
I want to say like some of the best. I mean, this was probably the only iteration of Dr. Fate that I could think of. I don't remember him a whole lot in JLU, but when the first season of Young Justice, where Dr. Fate was a pretty decent sized role.
Yeah.
That's some of the best Dr. Fate stuff I've seen in a long time. And there wasn't any of that in this movie. I mean, you get like the voice synthesizer of how powerful the helmet of Nobu is, but you still don't get that Nobu is a Lord of Order. They name drop it, but you don't get how powerful this helmet truly is and how much and how you have to sacrifice putting the helmet on. And like how much this has been hurting. Like every time there have been other, I want to say there's another later Jeff Johns run where you see Kent in like a hospital and you see and the helmet is just haunting him. I want to say there's been other good instances of Dr. Fate with the helmet, but this time it's just like, I see into the future. I could do some cool magic stuff, but it's like you are way more powerful than this.
Yeah, I get why they wanted Dr. Fate. They wanted like a cool magic person. I think it's just a bummer for the DC universe too, because like Dr. Fate's a really big, cool character that they can do so much more stuff with, and they kill him. And that's a bummer. Mm-hmm. That's a big bummer.
Yeah. Someone else can pick up the helmet.
And someone else can't pick up the helmet. That's true.
I want to say there was a New 52 run. I'm pretty sure there's a New 52 run. I only picked up the first issue, but I didn't really like it. There was a new character who does become Dr. Fate. There is a new Dr. Fate, a younger kid.
Ben, I thought Amon, the kid, was going to pick up the helmet because his mother tells him, hey, you can be a hero in another way. So I thought he was going to become a young Dr. Fate for a second. But like that didn't happen, which is fine. Let me think.
It feels like this film was, there to set up you wanting to see more of Black Adam, specifically to want to see him fight Superman. But it doesn't feel like it's achieving the goal of setting you up to want to see more of the JSA.
No.
Which is a bummer, because it feels like that's the other half of what it should have been selling, is me to want to see, hey, you're going to come out with another movie that's featuring Hawkman and Cyclone and Atom Smasher with some other people. I'm going to want to go see that now because of watching Black Adam. And I don't think it achieved that goal either, which is a bummer.
Yeah. I'm looking at...
As someone who's very happy Aldous Hodge is Hawkman.
Absolutely.
It's really a bummer that this movie doesn't make me feel pumped about
the best thing that we can do is get someone, not James Gunn, but someone like a James Gunn to do the Suicide Squad for these characters.
Yes,
where they will all come back. Hawkman will be twice as cool.
Right.
Atom Smasher, I don't know, maybe he can...
build on the very weak foundation you have set up here.
I'm just trying to think, what else can we do with Atom Smasher?
I
don't know.
What do you want to do with the Tom Holland, Paul Rudd combo of Noah Centineo?
Oh my god, they were really just like, can we just have an Ant-Man? Can we just have
an Ant-Man, but he's young, so he also quips like Spider-Man?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have so much preferred Henry Winkler coming out of retirement like, I'm 70 doing this shit, get out of here. That would have been the best.
Henry Winkler just getting slapped around by the Rock.
Yeah, that would have been so good. Oh, that is a good, real quick, Ben, that is a good joke in the movie. Atom Smasher raises his hand to stop Black Adam, but he gets Hawkman instead. That's a pretty good joke.
Yeah, I like.
Hawkman gets sent crashing down. He's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry."
No, but even then, because we kept definitely the Casey casuals of this movie are definitely going to be like, "Oh, this is Dr. Fate, just like Doctor Strange," and Atom Smasher is just like Ant-Man. And I remember even when we were watching the movie, Fanny leans over to me and she whispers, she's like, is he just like Doctor Strange? I'm like, there's more to it than that.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Obviously they don't go into it. And the same with Atom Smasher, because when we left the theater and Fanny and I were talking about the film, and this isn't me like ragging on my girlfriend at all, but this is definitely one of those things where the case, like I mentioned earlier, the Casey casuals are definitely gonna put like, oh, Atom Smasher is just like Ant-Man, and I'm like, and I'm sitting there going, yeah, but there's more to it than that.
But Ben, here's the thing: that is not Casey Casual's fault. That's the people who made the movie's fault for making them not differentiating enough from the Marvel heroes. Mm-hmm. If you want to have a magic character, don't give him the same exact abilities the other magic person uses. Right. We know Dr. Fate can do so much more shit. He should have done so much more onk and crazy shit with his hands. So much more. Yeah. The scene where he breaks Black Adam out of the prison, that's straight from the Injustice video game. Where he goes boom, voom, voom. That is just from the video game. And I'm like, why didn't we do more of that? Why didn't we do so much more of that? Mortal Kombat and the Marvel games, all these games take from like source materials like that. Like, we should have had so much more of that cool shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Even I can't exactly describe it, but even Black Adam's breakout scene. Well, I like Pierce Brosnan or Kent. I want to say his name's Kent Wilson, where he's talking to Black Adam. I
don't remember. Let me see.
Yeah, neither do I. I just know when Dr. Fate is talking to Black Adam, saying like, "You can do this," but then the whole time they're leading up to it's like, "You will never say the word again." 10 minutes later, he says the word again. I don't know why, but that whole thing just like irked me. I don't understand why it irked me, but it's because
they don't build up the idea that Teth Adam is addicted to the power.
Yeah.
And if you build up that idea, then the action of him giving up the power means more. Even if he's going to undo it after because Sabak has shown up.
Yeah.
It still means more because he's addicted to it. It's not just, this was meant for my son and I kind of shouldn't have had it and I screwed up with it one time. So, I guess I should just give it up. Okay, here we go, Shazam.
You know the real, like, the comic book Black Adam ending? Like, he's fighting all these people and then he kills a bunch of people and he's really sad about it. He's like, listen, I know I messed up. I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing this for them. And he gets taken away, right? Then Sabak shows up and like, we need you, Black Adam. Black Adam's like, you threw me in prison. I'm not helping you. I'm not helping you. And then it gets so bad where Black Adam's like, all right, I guess I literally am the only person to do it. I'm not doing this because I'm a hero. I'm doing it because I'd rather have a world to rule than one that's made of ashes, right? Make him that complex character where, again, every choice he makes, he's still coming at it from the anti-perspective, the villain perspective. You can still do heroic shit as a villain. Or Doctor Doom's my favorite character.
Or even at least a selfish one.
There you go, selfish. Like, again, I'd rather rule over conduct than anyone else. But, like, that's not it. That's
at bare minimum, make him more selfish than selfless.
Yeah.
And even because if I remember right, in the comic books and in other media, Black Adam is the ruler of conduct, correct?
Yeah.
He like the whole time when he's sitting there and he goes, feels wrong. He smashes the throne and says, "Conduct needs a protector." It's like, okay, that's kind of
he is so much more like Doctor Doom than The Rock, and like he is. It's so weird. Again, like this guy getting his own movie. It's like he's a bad person. He can do good things, but his core is rotten. He's a rotten person,
right?
And it's just like it's a shame that like again The Rock has to like layer over with the rockness of it, which is fine.
I'm glad
he has to rockify it.
He has to rockify it.
I'm glad that Ben brought up that point because it when I was watching it, like smashing the throne, saying it feels wrong was the most like anti-Black Adam thing I'd ever seen. Especially because like part of the promotional material and even the Fortnite
thing is him sitting
Black
on the
Adam
throne.
is him sitting on the throne, and it's one of the promotional pieces because they understand that like if you read the comics, that's Black Adam. That's Black Adam sitting on the throne. That's what he does.
Yeah.
He's that person.
Yeah, he is not someone who's about democracy. He is democracy.
He's not a person who went through slavery and came out the other side of it and said, you know what, slavery should be abolished. He's a person who went through slavery and said, man, I wish I was the guy holding the whip.
Yes, that is a perfect analogy. 100%.
And that's who that character is. And, you know, like it's you get the people that come out of something like that way, and it's understandable and it can be relatable and there can be things to connect to inside of that. But Teth Adam is a character who's supposed to say, I want to be the person who's able to wield this kind of power, not I want to abolish the system that justifies this kind of power. I want to be the person who wields it.
And that's
a different kind of person.
Yeah, and this brings up not a conversation I'm actually want to get into, but there's a thing going around now where like if a character's bad, you can't root for them because that means you like what they're doing, right? So like some people don't even want to write like morally ambiguous or evil characters. Those things exist in real life. They are allowed to exist in fiction. Black Adam is a character who should not be rubbed of his what's it called, like rubbed of the edges, right? He is a character with hard edges. He is not someone who's soft. That's not the if you want to do this character, just do a different character. But like we are here, and it's unfortunate that this is where we're starting at. So he's only going to become more heroic over time because it's The Rock.
Well, and again, I love The Rock. This all happens because The Rock really wants to play Superman, and they're not going to let him play Superman.
Yeah,
that's where we're at. Like that's really what it is. The Rock wants to play Superman, and he can't.
Yeah,
and so he will make his own Superman.
It's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
And all right. You know, he gets to be edgier and cooler, so I think for him that's the appealing thing, but he still wants to be heroic to an extent, like Superman is.
It's still wild to me that, like, it's 2022. Like, 16, 18 years ago, he was in Doom, and he was a villain in Doom. That was the last time he played a villain. And then this movie, I was ready for him to be a villain again. It's like, no, it's kind of like Will Smith. I actually am not going to be a bad guy ever. I'm like, come on. Come on! Yeah. Be complex, The Rock. Come on, let me chew on something for once. I like your movies.
I really hope that A, eventually we do get a Doctor Doom film, but B, I also hope that in that Doctor Doom film, we see Doom be a truly horrible person.
Homie, I've only seen the trailer for Black Panther and Namor's in it, and they already got Namor more right than this entire movie. Like, I am not worried about Marvel taking over Namor or Doctor Doom. They at least get their characters right most of the time. I'm not worried about that aspect.
Yeah, because like even when because at first I was trying because I forgot if because I know Black Adam is also known as the protector of conduct. I know that he will fight for conduct. That even when Waller says you get to stay in conduct, and he's like, that's fine with me. I don't want to go anywhere. I need to fix my shit here. I'm here to protect my home. Screw the rest of the world.
Mm-hmm.
But the whole time I'm sitting there going, yeah, okay, they got the protector of conduct part correct, but at the same time he rules it, doesn't he? every single piece of media, every single, be it a comic book, be it a video game, be it a cartoon or whatever, he is the ruler of conduct. And I mean, granted, he rules this country with an iron fist, but he's not that much of a dictator, if that makes sense. Like he's like his beef is with the rest of the world. It's not with the people of Kondak.
Yeah, just let me rule my people how I want to rule them, and don't mess with us. That's all. Like we're self-sufficient. We don't need anyone else in the world.
Like every time another hero either ends up in Kondak by accident or by intention, he is always right front and center. It's like, what the F are you doing in my town?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Some of the editing is super sloppy in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I don't know what they were doing. Things that just don't make sense. Just very simple things that is just like some really, really, truly sloppy editing.
Yep.
Really bummed me out.
There's one scene that's floating around on Twitter, and it's early on in the movie when the mother, I wish I remember her name, but like the mom is talking to I think it's Hawkman, and she's like, these are Imperial people, and they're coming in and they're taking our resources and they're doing all this, and every 1 second it's a new cut, and there's like 30 cuts in a 20-second dialogue scene, and it's like, this is insane. I didn't catch it the first time, but rewatching it, I'm like, this is insane. This is really insane. I think for the most part the action's good, but there are definitely some times where it just gets really messy.
Yeah.
And it's dumb. I don't like it.
Yep.
Not a fan.
Yeah, the only part of this movie where I was really like, hell yeah, was when Superman showed up.
That's the only part? That's really sad. I definitely at least had a hell yeah moment before that.
I definitely laughed. I definitely did a couple cheers. I think some of the action again is really good. If the action weren't as good, I'd probably hate it.
There were parts of the movie where, I mean, yeah, I was like, hey, this is a really cool action scene. But of course, the thing that got me excited was the final hook, probably because, I mean, for me, it was like just the confirmation that Henry Cavill's still Superman. That was like the big.
Sure, I guess I think that had less luster for me watching it just because I knew.
Oh, okay.
And here's the thing.
Didn't know.
That's impressive.
Ben, like I knew without knowing. Like, enough context without there. Like, I didn't see anybody officially say, yes, he's in it.
The Rock sucks, though.
But I saw enough stuff of people talking around it to context clue, like, yeah, so Henry Cavill's in this movie.
The Rock, so The Rock himself, Ben. So, like, there are spoilers on Twitter, but you are definitely less online than the rest of us, which is great. But The Rock himself, in almost every interview, has been spoiling it. Straight up just spoiling. He's saying, like, I made this whole movie to show that, like, I'm not the strongest person on the planet. On this planet. Who knows who'll show up next? Like, every interview, he's just talking about Superman, which is a 5-second scene at the end of your movie. And I'm like, that's how you gotta market your movie, man? The tease at the end of the movie? Ugh. Come on, Dwayne.
Thankfully, going into this movie, I had no clue about Superman. I had no clue he was going to show up. And then for me, it was just like seeing Henry Cavill with his head in the suit. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, the rumors are put to bed. He's Superman still. To me, that was like good because we all know he loves playing Superman. He wants to come back as Superman. And that just made me happy. And even I was like, oh my God, they brought in Superman. But then even as I was leaving the theater, I was like, wow, that is kind of sad. Like the most hyped thing for this movie was seeing Henry Cavill as Superman and the possibility of him and Zachary Levi teaming up to duke it out with Dwayne The Rock Johnson. That is kind of sad. Whereas the whole movie was just like, I had to go through a 2.5-hour movie to get to that bit.
Well, that's sad for you because that wasn't my takeaway.
Yeah,
that was not like the only thing worth that whole movie for.
Yeah, there's an entire 2-hour movie there where I think there's stuff to dig from.
Yeah. Like I said, that I think like genuinely that Dr. Fate reflection mask shot is one of the better comic book movie shots I've seen.
Yeah.
In a while.
Yeah.
And there's things that'll hold their salt. It's just not a developed story.
Yeah, the story's bad, but like I'll give the action this credit. Like a lot of this action is more brutal than a lot of the Marvel stuff. And like I don't need brutality and all my stuff, but like there was a certain amount of like Mortal Kombat skeletons being seen in this movie that I don't get in Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Where people are literally being fried to their bones. And I'm like, that's really cool. I enjoy a skelly bone.
It's just playing it safe.
Yeah.
Where the previous CC outings I don't feel like they have been. This was playing it safe.
Yeah.
Very, very safe.
I was just looking it up because I remember reading it a while ago. There is a there's a Suicide Squad versus Justice League comic book, which is better than anyone thought it was going to be, and it has stuff to deal with Kahndaq as well, where like there's like a shitty Suicide Squad, and Waller has to bring in the real Suicide Squad and the Justice League, and they go on the Kahndaq and stuff, and I'm like, it feels like they're setting that up. Where you can still have Black Adam be, I'm going to protect Kahndaq, but I'm going to beat anyone who comes into it, and that could work. But like, I don't know. He wants to fight Superman so bad, and that's just going to be two super strong people punching each other. That's not.
Or hopefully two super strong people punching one other super strong person.
And honestly, that's not as exciting to me because it's much more fun watching a group of people like this have to figure out how to beat the strong man than just having two strong men punch each other, because then you're just getting the Man of Steel fight again, and I don't need that, to be honest. No offense, fans of two strong men.
Yeah.
We got any other thoughts on Black Adam before we drop out of here?
I really like the Superman thing too. I didn't mean to like put it down entirely. I was just saying that it's not. I didn't think that was the only thing worth the whole movie, but I do like that they play the John Williams theme.
Yeah.
That he comes out with his curly Q.
It's always funny when these types of post-credit scenes happen, because like, we need to talk. Is the next movie going to be them just like having tea, or are we going to pretend the post-credit scene didn't happen?
Is he recruiting him?
Or is he recruiting him? Which like, no, that doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense at all.
I just really hope he's like, hey, I just really hope it's like, hey, I spoke to Black Adam. He's just going to stay in Kahndaq. We don't have to worry about that. I
Yeah.
So many things.
Well, you know
so
what?
Many
like,
things.
yeah, I'll end it on like, it is really nice that The Rock, despite the quality of the movie, The Rock cares enough about this universe, and he does care about fans and what they want, which is really nice, because like sometimes fans don't they say the wrong things, but like Henry Cavill's great, and like we all want Henry Cavill. The Rock knows that, and like him pushing for Henry Cavill is really great.
Yeah.
He's a guy who. He's a good Superman who's never been in a good Superman movie. So I just really need him to have a win.
Yeah.
Because like his best shit can't be 5 minutes in a Justice League movie. Like that can't be it. That can't be it. It can't be it.
I know.
I agree. I agree.
I mean, even when I was walking out of the theater, because I was thinking, man, I really hope Shazam 3 is Superman Shazam.
Yeah.
Where they have to team up and like, go into Kahndaq and deal with stuff with him.
I've seen that animated movie.
Yeah, it's a good animated movie.
Yeah.
I think the thing is like why I'm pushing so hard the Superman Shazam thing is because like the conversation is about, well, we want Superman to throw down with Black Adam, and I'm like, I really want Shazam to be there too. I think that's important. I think that Shazam should get to fight one of his ultimate villains who's based in the same power as him. I think that should happen.
It's weird that that doesn't seem to be the trajectory.
Right.
It should be.
And it makes sense because you can do interesting things with Billy having to support Superman because Superman's weak to magic.
Word. Oh, yeah,
Yeah, because like it's like Waller's like, and I'm sitting there going, oh, they don't know that Superman doesn't know that he's weak to magic yet. Oh, this could be a good turning point where Superman's like, oh, this guy has the advantage. This is new. Who else do I know that has magic? Shazam! Hey, Shazam! Help me out here, buddy.
And it honestly doesn't take a lot to make a good plot about why they would have to confront each other. Like Superman wants backup. He turns to Billy, who he's already met in canon. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Shazam. So he turns to him and says, like, this guy's got a similar thing to you. We should go in together and try and simmer down something's going on in Kahndaq. But they don't really have the full picture of what's going on in Kahndaq. But Black Adam's not really the kind of person who wants to talk it out either and explain it to them.
So that's
why they have a big fight, and they're like, they're invading the space, and it won't ultimately be about, because it's The Rock again and it's his Black Adam. It won't ultimately be about him being the bad guy, but like a misunderstanding and like them stepping in where they shouldn't have without all the information kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that can work. That could be really good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's an opportunity for a bright future. I just wish the foundation was a little better, because again, like, it would have been cool to have Dr. Fate for a couple movies, but Pierce, he's up there in age, so I get it. They can keep him.
Yeah. I still think the suit looks really cool on him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
I'm sure there will be another Dr. Fate at some point.
Absolutely. Young Dr. Fate.
I hope so. I mean, it's weird. The possibilities what this movie can bring, I am more excited for than the actual movie I just saw.
Yeah.
The other thing is like I just have no no expectations for like where things will go or what will happen at this point, because just in general, the DC films have not been succeeding when they've been working on building up to something. They succeed when they're just kind of trying to deliver on their own.
Yep.
And so that's more what I anticipate, is just like giving me the good next movie rather than looking forward, which is fine. I'm perfectly happy to not be doing the same thing we do over at Marvel of looking ahead at all the things to come and just see what DC is going to deliver me. But the Zaslav of it all also gives me a lack of faith in where we're heading.
Yeah.
I mean, even when we were talking about the DC films that just do their own thing, like the Suicide Squad, Birds of Prey, and the Peacemaker show, they don't try to set any, as far as I can remember. I mean, it's been a while since I last saw the Suicide Squad, but they weren't trying to set anything up big. It was just like the only thing they set up was a Peacemaker show that was confirmed 100% in development.
Yep.
And we actually got, and it turned out to be one of the greatest TV shows I've seen in a very long time.
Word.
Yeah.
It's really, I don't want to say it's sad, but it's also just, it's odd. I don't want to keep comparing this to the Marvel franchise because that's been done to death so many times. But with something like Black Adam, I am more excited for what the future is and the product I just watched. Whereas I look to a Marvel film, what's going to happen next is just a natural part of the conversation of how good the original product was.
It's because, Ben, they're like, to put it like not in quality terms, but like this is like an Age of Ultron, where like they haven't worked out the kinks of how to put so much stuff in a movie to set up the next movie and just have its own movie on its own, right? They're trying to do a lot of stuff in this movie for setup, and not all of it works.
I would equate it more to, again, not quality-wise, I would equate it more to like an Iron Man 2.
Yeah, there you go, Iron Man 2. I'm just looking for like something that's like, all of these characters did not need to be in this Black Adam movie, but they wanted to start setting things up, and I get that. I'm okay with that. I just wish the execution were stronger.
Yeah. All right.
Let's, why don't we rate it? Why don't we rate it?
Yeah. Yeah, let's rate it.
I give it a hot, solid 7. It's a pass. It just passes. I will watch this once more if it's on HBO and I'm really high. That's probably the only time I'll ever watch it. The action, real good. The Rock, he's going zzz at the screen. Love it.
Yeah, I agree. I also gave it a 7.
Hot 7. Ben, you can give it a lower score. 7.
Oh no, I'm going to get. I'm giving it a 6.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
I came out saying this movie was kind of mid.
It's almost 6 is a mid.
And I still feel like it is. I mean, I know, especially in today's day and age, people will say, "Oh, that's mid," because this movie truly was like middle of the road. It wasn't as bad as
that's what it's supposed to mean. That's what it's supposed to mean. Not bad. Like it's totally average.
Yeah. To me, this movie felt average. There were some really good parts and there were some really bad parts. Like if you were to put this with the other DC echelon films, I would probably pick Black Adam over a few of them. Definitely pick it over Suicide Squad, the first one. Definitely pick it over BVS.
And then that's it.
I mean, that's it. Literally the last couple years of input, this is below all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, because like the last couple years have been pretty solid. So.
Since Aquaman.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I would definitely watch this over Suicide Squad and BVS, but the other films, I'll probably pick the other one over Black Adam.
Yeah. Well, the future.
I think the real test is: do you watch this or do you watch Joss Whedon's Justice League, the 2017 Justice League? Which one do you pick?
Neither, because I'll just watch Zack Snyder's
Justice League. Right, but if you are just holding these two, which one do you go through?
Gun to my head, which one do I watch?
Which one's more fun to watch?
Justice League.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to say Justice League.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of bummed about that, but I think so too.
Honestly, now that I think about it, like the quality levels are like the character stuff is better in Justice League a little bit though, so I think that's why it wins.
Yeah,
but like I think the action's probably better in Black Adam actually.
Oh no, I think the action's better in Black Adam for sure. Yeah, 100%. Even if just purely because it was so cohesive of like one driven mind.
I think the movie, we didn't talk about it like very briefly. I think the movie looks pretty good. Like the special effects aren't always 100%, but I think it's a pretty good looking movie.
I really truly love the invention of Cyclone's powers. I think it's really pretty to look at.
Very interesting color choices and stuff.
I don't know what the hell she's doing, but it looks pretty.
Nano machines, man. All right, we got a 7. We got a 7 and a 6. Thank you for thank you for this Black Adam review, The Rock. Well, maybe we won't have to wait another 15 years for the next one. Who knows?
I know.
Well, That's us here at the Fake Nerd Podcast. Thank you guys for watching this. We got so many more review specials and God, I don't end these things well. We got our Mothership show on Sundays.
Yes.
What are we talking about this week? Next
Wendell
week?
and Wild.
Wendell and Wild from Henry Selick and Jordan Peele. We got so many more specials, and we got book clubs and animation stations and
Spooky
Fake Nerds
stuff.
Watch and spooky stuff for October. Oh my gosh, we got a whole week load of fun shit that we put Ben through. He had to change his pants like 6 times in a row. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Thank you for stopping by. I am DJ Tony Snark and all the interweb stuff. Where can you find you, Benjamin?
You can find me on the internet at BenMagnet27, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. You can also find me writing for Old School Gamer Magazine, Fusion Gaming Magazine, and GoNintendo.com.
And last but not least, Sparkz.
You can find me writing down that Ben Magnet's accounts are mid at Sparkz Witty on Instagram and Twitter, SPARKZ Witty.
You'll find us all over the Fake Nerd Podcast, FakeNerdPodcast.com, FakeNerdGuys@gmail.com if you want to talk to us. Until then, sorry about the hierarchy. Stay the same.
Stay fake nerds.